The Miller Urey experiment is often cited as a successful recreation of amino acids that are building blocks of proteins on which all life depends. It is even published in textbooks as a major milestone, but the flaws and inconsistencies are never really discussed with the same enthusiasm and detail. In 1952, Stanley Miller, a graduate student supervised by Miller Urey, sought to simulate early Earth's atmospheric conditions in a glass apparatus to prove that life could emerge from lifeless matter randomly out of coincidence, which is also what the beliefs of evolutionists are. He took a calculated amount of methane, ammonia, and hydrogen as primary gases on early Earth, heated water to resemble warm oceans, and discharged high-voltage electric spark to mimic lightning. With continuous operations a week later, he saw a few amino acids formed in it. The presence of amino acids overwhelmed the then Darwinists so much so that they did not even take into account the several critical flaws that could have invalidated the method and its results altogether. Miller's experiment turned out to be invalid in so many regards and was a total failure in proving the origin of life from lifeless matter. Firstly, the gases Miller used were not even present in the early atmosphere. It was later discovered and agreed upon that instead of ammonia and methane, nitrogen and carbon dioxide were abundant on early Earth. An atmosphere rich in such gases can greatly inhibit any production of amino acids. And the most important element, oxygen, that was present in fair amount at the time when amino acids are said to have formed, was not even used in the experiment at all. Had oxygen been used, it would have oxidized those freshly formed amino acids because of its reactive properties. And since there was no ozone layer at the time, UV rays, which were much more stronger than today, would have destroyed any organic molecules formed in nature. Later, Miller himself admitted that the gases he used did not represent early Earth's atmospheric conditions and that his experiment was not a realistic one. Secondly, Miller used a cold trap mechanism to quickly isolate the formed amino acids to prevent them from being exposed to continuous electric sparking, but they were supposed to be left in that environment on early Earth as there was no conscious mechanism on early Earth to isolate them. Also, in the previous attempts without the cold trap, Miller had failed to obtain any amino acids. At the end of the Miller's experiment, along with amino acids, many other organic compounds like cyanide also formed. These compounds are very damaging to the living structure, and among other amino acids that form, some were right-handed, while in living beings only left-handed amino acids are used. Right-handed amino acids are of no use in living beings and can even be toxic. Lastly, it should be noted that Miller's experiment was performed under carefully controlled conditions with specific amounts of selected gases, temperature, and electric sparks, all set up with the intentions to form amino acids. This controlled environment was far from the random process that would have occurred on early Earth. So instead of proving the idea that life could emerge by chance, this experiment has only proved that life can only be brought into existence by a conscious mind that calculates everything and has the idea of it in mind beforehand. Moreover, supposedly even if amino acids did form, there is zero probability any useful protein would arise from it, because for a single useful protein to form, the right sequence, shape, structure, and bonds are necessary. Furthermore, a protein on its own is useless. For it to be functional, a whole cellular environment is needed at the same time, which is only possible if the cell has been created fully formed. The fact that scientists are still not sure whether proteins based on amino acids, RNA, or DNA came first, or whether these building blocks arrived from outer space or formed in the depths of the oceans, tells us a lot about the uncertainty and unreliability of any experiment claiming to have proven life's emergence from inanimate matter on early Earth. The truth is that all the living beings were created fully formed by a supreme creator. The first living organisms, cyanobacteria, which date back 3.8 billion years, were complex from the very beginning and had been given the necessary machinery to survive in that harsh environment. They are still present in their unchanged form, refuting any evolutionary developments.